Scene 54, take one.
I'm Rick Mendoza. I'm from Pasadena. I spent most of my life living in the San Gabriel Valley, actually. Coming into downtown was a regular thing for me because my pops had a business down here. He had a gas station on Sunset and Fig. That was in the 70s, and the skyline wasn't even up. And I remember seeing the city growing, and coming just to the east side of Spring Street was kind of dangerous. And I remember like coming down Main Street one time, I was like 15 or so, and being propositioned like 6 times by hookers and drug dealers and whatnot. And I was like, wow, this is really amazing. You know, peep shows and all kinds of cool stuff happening there. Growing up, I was the kid in the family with a camera. I just loved to take a shot of where I was as a way of just documenting my own experience. I didn't really go to school for it, so I just went to work. I just started hustling. I got married, had a family, and it wasn't until my kids were older and on their own that I started like coming downtown and visiting the Arts District. And it was just like shooting fish in a barrel. Citizen L.A. It was like the student newspaper of the Arts District. George Steele hired me on as a photographer, and I ended up being the photo editor and shooting most of the assignments. And it was a great way to meet people and get behind the scenes of downtown L.A. And I hooked up with a guy I met at Bedlam, Jim Marquez, who's a writer. He and I shared a passion for a lot of whiskey and trouble, and we teamed up and we were covering the after hours art scene. As he would say, the arts and culture scene of downtown LA, but I was really more like the booze and party scene. It was a tremendous amount of fun, and the Citizen was an avenue to like really shoot a lot of stuff. It opened doors. People wanted us to come. Our inboxes would be just full of invitations to fashion shows and art openings and speakeasies and the nightlife, the real nightlife of the Arts District in downtown. Bedlam was the island of misfit toys of the Arts District. It was an art salon that everybody really wanted to participate in. Everybody was just welcoming and non-judgmental, and it seemed like a very positive, inclusive vibe there. Man, it was just very colorful. Everywhere you looked, there was somebody who wanted their picture taken just because they were stars. They were just art stars, they were rock stars, they were porn stars, they were stars in their own minds. And everybody was a willing participant, and that was just very, very liberating. When I went there, I met the pantheon of the Arts District. There was Terry Ellsworth and Jim Fittipaldi and Emmerich Conrad and Shantine, and a very colorful spot. Al's Bar closed down at some point, and Jim left his 6th Street location and was looking for a new place. And I heard that he had landed in Al's Bar. And so I came down here to check it out one day, and they were gutting the place, and it looked all clean, and it was going to be the new incarnation of Bedlam. But it was very deluxe. It was small, much smaller than his space on 6th Street. This was a tight, intimate, little homey kind of place. I mean, homey if you liked porn shoots and crack, I guess, but homey nonetheless. And Jim had decorated it with amazing art, and it was sweet. It was sweet. It wasn't Al's Bar, it was something else, but at the same time, it was still rough. It was still Arts District. I was shooting up against the wall there, and Jim and his dog Roscoe ran out. He had a World War II helmet and a cigarette and very scruffy looking, and I took his picture, and it ended up as a billboard for Bedlam magazine. American Hotel is a real landmark. The American is the pantheon of the Arts District. It seems like every saint and sinner who has traveled these streets that's worth their salt has spent some time here. I know the floors creak and the bathrooms are down the hall, but friends of mine that have lived here have carved out this experience that's pretty fantastic. It's like living in some kind of like dorm room or something. People stacked on top of each other and ideas stacked on top of each other and frenzy. You could feel it in the walls. The place vibrates with all kinds of crazy energy. And I can see how it's been an inspiration for a lot of people. The American is the actual heart of the Arts District. It's got to stay that way, and people have to realize that there's a history here. It's the last stand, you know, they're holding on by their fingernails in this sea of gentrification that's going on around us. Who can step up and say, hey, I'm going to buy the American and I'm going to freeze the rates at the price that they were in 1995. And you only can live here if you're an artist. It happens in other parts of the world. You have Art Share. You know, Art Share has living spaces there, and you qualify as a working artist and you can get a spot there. Same thing can happen here. Art Share has a long history that goes back well before I was around. I always thought it was a great idea that the community that was about artists would have a place where people from that community could instruct others and pass on their knowledge and inspire people, especially inspire young people. So I got involved with them and I instructed a couple of photo classes. These kids were so passionate about documenting where they were and what their lives were about. Our mission was to observe and document and talk about what we were looking at and why we were looking at that and get to know our creative energies through that. And it was very, very beneficial. I think Art Share has a great mission. The neighborhood needs to have venues where we're showing that, yeah, you know, this is an arts neighborhood and it needs to be front and center. Otherwise, it's just the face of the Arts District is going to be a hot dog. This neighborhood was founded by artists that were looking for places that they could live and work in and afford. The property values are going up so high, it's bringing in people that don't really need to live here. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm saying that the initial neighborhood was populated by people that needed to live here. They needed 1,000 square feet of space. They needed 5,000 square feet of space to do what they had to do. And the people that are here now, they don't necessarily need that. They don't respect the fact that there are others that do. This area is about inclusion. That's what makes community. It's not about who can afford to live here. I definitely felt that, you know, when I came down here and I walked into Bedlam or started working for Citizen L.A., the people I met, they were very community oriented. And there's still a big core of people here that feel that way. And I think that's very, very important. That a city the size of Los Angeles and downtown has a sense of community. It's a small town in a big city. And that's what people need to understand about a pocket like the Arts District. If you're going to come down here and live in the Arts District, you got to participate. You got to know your neighbors and love your neighbors. Let's hope that it can maintain its integrity as an artistic area and preserve its heritage that way. And the Arts District has its own lore. You talk to people who live here or come to visit and they go, oh yeah, the Arts District. And maybe somebody will say, oh yeah, Blooms. Or, you know, guys like Don Jones, you hear these stories about these types and like really those people were here and you interacted with them and it's fantastic. It's like Disneyland, you know, to come down here and see all the characters. You know, you got Snow White and you got the Seven Dwarves and you got Sleepy and Dopey and all the characters, but God love them. You know, I mean, they're all such fantastic people. A neighborhood has turned a corner when it has lore, you know.
God.